Hi guys, it's your girl Corporate Carolyn, and I'm winding down the workday, and I'm doing something that you normally don't get a chance to see me doing. Since my husband should be walking in the door any minute, I decided to go ahead and drink my secret potion that allows me at 58 to eat whatever the heck I want to eat, whether or not I should be eating it. Because about, let's see, was it 18 years ago? Something like that, around 40, I had started to experience problems with Gerd. Let me take a sip and I'll put it down. But anyway, I had my first experience with Gerd. What is it called? Gastroesophageal reflux disease, as they labeled it. But I don't really know why it would be a disease, because it wasn't something that was happening unless I went crazy and say went on vacation and had like maybe a 16-ounce Red Bull and then some pizza with extra sauce, and then maybe a few of the chocolate mules, where like they have this dark chocolate coating with white ice cream on the inside. And maybe I might have had 3 of those or whatever. I was on vacation, who cared, right? And I was probably eating a good number of other things that I probably shouldn't have been eating, especially as I started to approach 40. And so I think I developed symptoms where it felt like maybe there was a fist in my diaphragm. And my husband said, well, maybe you're constipated. I was like, I am not. He says, well, maybe you have gas. I was like, I do not. And then he says, maybe you have indigestion. And I had never suffered from indigestion before. I'm not the kind of person who takes Tums or Pepto-Bismol or anything like that. But that little fist feeling in my diaphragm lasted for about 2 weeks. And even though I kind of gave in to what my husband was saying and took various over-the-counter medicines, like I forget what this one was called. It's something, maybe Metamucil or something that I think that might have been one of them. And then there was some other one that was for indigestion. I tried laxatives and things, and it persisted, that same feeling. And so finally, after, spending almost 2 weeks where I couldn't sit up the way I'm sitting up right now, I finally went to the doctor, and they ran all sorts of tests, because at that time, I wasn't in menopause like I am now. And so, they were making sure that I didn't have blood clots because I was taking the pill. And they wound up, checking my heart, doing an EKG, doing an ECG, and all sorts of things. And then finally, the doctor asked, he said, well, maybe you could have, what did he say? Oh, pancreatitis. And he asked me, he said, are you sure you don't drink? And I said, of course, I told you I don't drink. And then the doctor was challenging, are you sure you don't drink? And I was like, who are you? I'm not afraid of you. I would tell you if I drank. There's no benefit for me to lie to you about that. And so he said, it sounds like you could have pancreatitis, but what did you eat? And so then I started rattling off that list that I gave you, about the red sauce. And I think that might have been the second time that it happened. The first time I was at a New Year's Eve party and everybody was drinking and imbibing. And so I had coffee, Rocher eggs, the Rocher, I forget what they're called, Rocher or something. The eggs that have the hazelnut on them and the chocolate. You know what I'm talking about, but I can't remember the name. So I had coffee, and I didn't realize that coffee and chocolate went so well together. So I had coffee, chocolate, and this was around midnight because people were drinking. And then I had this little chicken in a barbecue sauce. The chicken was a little greasy, and I don't normally eat after 8 o'clock. So I'm eating late night. I'm just I can just live it up like everyone else is. And then that was when I had the diaphragm. And so then after they did all of those tests, the doctor said, Mrs. Gray, what did you eat? gave them the list about the chocolate, the Rocher eggs, or whatever they're called. And then they finally said, go ahead and try this Nexium, it was called Nexium. Try this, and if it doesn't work in the next 3 days, you need to come back because we think you might have pancreatitis. And so I didn't realize how serious that was. I took the Nexium. I was like, oh no, I'm old. I'm taking Nexium because I wasn't quite 40 yet. I might have been 39. And so I was at the movie theater with my boys because they were boys then. And I get a phone call from the doctor. And I said, hello. He says, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. How are you doing? And he's like, I just wanted to check on you because if your symptoms hadn't subsided, we were going to want you to, come to the hospital and have us do, some further tests. And so I said, I feel great. And so he said, well, that's wonderful. Maybe take the Nexium for a few more days. And then if you have any more problems, let us know. And so I didn't have any more problems until I went on vacation and had those things that I mentioned. And then I think I had it a few years later. It happened again after vacation with the Red Bull, with the pizza, the same routine. I thought it was a one and done, but it happened 3 times. And each time, it was enough time for me to forget and the doctors to forget. And then finally, the question always led back to, what did you eat? And so I started reading about acid reflux and Gerd, and it talked about a restricted diet, how you can't eat spicy foods. I live for spicy foods. How like you need to limit the chocolate, and and then all of a sudden other things started to have an effect. Like say if I had hot green tea, I would feel just like a little tingling or whatever. Because another symptom was I felt like kind of like pressure in my back, and I was sighing, and I called them and I said, I'm sighing, I don't know why. And they said, you need to come in immediately. And I didn't realize that ladies have different symptoms for heart attacks, so they were scared I might be having a heart attack. So all of this happened, and then once we found out what the deal was, they said, well, maybe you go on vacation, take some Prilosec or something like that. And then I know you've seen the advertisements for Prilosec on television, and they act like it's a cure-all for any sort of issues that you have related to things that you eat. But they don't mention that it shouldn't be taken longer than 2 weeks because it stops your body from producing acid, which causes you not to be able to break down calcium in your food, which would cause also problems with your kidneys. And so it's glamorized, but that is not something that you should take. And I didn't realize until once I was switching insurance, and I think it was independent without being through a company, and it might have been Aetna, where they were asking me questions about things that I took, and I mentioned that I took Prilosec, and they wanted to know how often. And then I said that I had started to probably abuse it a little bit because the symptoms became more problematic in my 40s. And that's when I realized that that wasn't a good thing, and it caused my premiums to be a little bit higher because I was taking Prilosec on a regular basis. And so I said, okay, time out. And I prayed and asked the Lord to give me a solution where I could eat whatever the heck I wanted to eat and not have to resort to buying Prilosec when I was on vacation at the beach. So all of that to say, now that I'm 58 and able, like I said, to eat whatever the heck that I want to eat without having to go to the doctor talking about Gerd or acid reflux, or no Prilosec, no Nexium, none of that stuff. And it's all because of what I have in this cup. If you're wondering what it is, well, it's water, mixed about 8 to 10 ounces of water that's mixed with my friend. And you notice I'm buying a huge jug. I actually have another one in the cabinet because I never want to run out. And Walmart on the app, they had a sale. So I bought 2 of these. And what it is, it's Bragg organic, raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, and it has the mother. Like some people who try to do apple cider, they start by going like to Cedar House or whatever the name of it, where you are able to buy those clear vinegars in this grocery store. Like you might get distilled, oh, it's by Heinz, that's what it is. Heinz distilled vinegar, or their apple cider, you notice that it's nice and clear. It's not dark and murky like this. And if you see a glass bottle, you'll see, gobbledygook floating around in the bottom, and that's what they're referring to as the mother. And so as a result, if you look up the benefits of apple cider vinegar, they also call it ACV. It goes down acidic, which is why you want to dilute it with no less than 8 ounces of water. I've graduated up to 2 tablespoons in my water, and I do it before every meal. And so the prayer that I prayed was back in, I think, maybe 2014, something like that, where I asked the Lord to give me a solution, because it had gotten to the point where I had a friend at work that was saying that I needed to get, whatever, an endoscopy, because she had gallbladder surgery. She's had all sorts of digestive issues. And she was saying, you don't want to get esophageal cancer. And so it was just too much for me. So, and I like to eat chocolate, especially on the weekends. And so I said a prayer. I asked the Lord to help me. Please help me to find a solution outside of Nexium and Prilosec, all those proton inhibitors. I didn't want any part of that. And I didn't want to have that feeling that I had, like either in my chest or, my diaphragm. And so finally I was out on Amazon and I ran across a book. If I find the name of the book, I'll put it in the description. But that's where I first learned about Bragg's apple cider vinegar. And so it talked about how even though it goes down acidic, when it gets into your stomach, it forms an alkaline environment, which helps to minimize the amount of acid. And the book that I read, it pointed out that some people who have Gerd symptoms don't really have problems with too much acid. They might have a problem with too little acid. And based on the results that I got, I think that I had too little acid. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just a lady who talks a lot on YouTube. But what they were saying is that, if food stays in your stomach too long, that acid stays there longer. And so when you go to sleep, it can come back up into your digestive tract. And so that can cause the heartburn that you feel. So you want to get that food out of your stomach as soon as possible. And so from what I understand, apple cider vinegar, not only does it create that alkaline environment to reduce the acidic situations that you might have, but it also helps to improve digestion, among other things. The motivational doc out on YouTube, he talks about how it helps to cleanse your liver as well. There are just so many wonderful benefits. That whole alkaline thing, creating that environment in your body, from what I understand, it could reduce your chances of getting cancer. But, I can't speak to that. Do your research. But what I found is having this 1 cup, and that's why anytime you see me with this little Betty Boop cup, that's what I'm doing. I'm sipping it. I use a straw because even though it's diluted, you don't want an acidic liquid on your teeth if you can help it. So get a straw and just, sip it at your leisure. It doesn't taste the best, but you get used to it. And it's been over a decade that I've been doing this with no ill effects. And so not only did the book that I found recommend that, I gave it to someone, and I really shouldn't have, because she didn't really follow anything that was in the book. So it was a waste, but I will do the research and find the name of it for you. And then the other thing they recommended was this product by Twin Lab, which is very difficult to find now. It used to be at the vitamin shop. And Twin is just spelled TWN Lab, and they're called super enzyme caps, which is a digestive support, which is a multi-enzyme formula. Things that it has are like a protein digestion blend, pancreatin, pepsin, and I think the main thing is probably HCl, which is hydrochloric acid. So it provides an acid in your stomach to help break down the foods that you're eating. And so what I do is I take 2 of these with every meal. So when I travel, I take them with me in a bag. When I travel, I take either bottles, a liter bottle with 4 tablespoons put in, and I drink half for like my first meal of the day and half for my second. I'm an intermittent fasting person. So anyway, this is on Amazon, and I'll put this link in the description as well. I've only been able to find 50 capsule sizes. They used to have a larger size, but I think that Twin Labs might have stopped making them, and so the remainder of what's out there on Amazon is available, but I've already found a backup, that I'll switch to when I can't find those anymore. I'll put the link for both. This is Now Super Enzyme, which supports healthy digestion. It says that it breaks down fats, carbs, and protein, and it optimizes nutrient availability. But I did do a test, and it seems to have the same effect, but I just prefer that because I know, betaine HCl is like the first ingredient, like I said, the hydrochloric acid. So the thing of that, since it is an acid, you want to make sure that you've eaten a little bit first. Like I do, like the first 4 or 5 bites, and then I take one, then maybe a few more bites, and I take a second one, so that by the time you have a full stomach, those tablets are down there and they're doing their job to help break down food. Between the apple cider vinegar and these tablets, I have not had any Gerd or acid reflux symptoms, even when I've shown out the most at on vacation or something. And like if I do experience anything like a little tingling in my diaphragm, like say if I've really overdone it, then the backup plan, that would be very rare. It wouldn't be something that I would do on a regular basis, but any little hint of something that I might feel if I really showed out, I would use NatureWorks Swedish bitters, which is used traditionally for digestion. Again, you can find this on YouTube as well as at the vitamin shop. And I'm so bad, I just like open it and just take a big swallow of it. I don't measure it out or anything, but like I said, this isn't something that you would do on a daily basis. It would be like as needed. If you just, felt a little symptom, and someone that I knew that had a lot of problems with digestion, especially like Gerd, was saying that the Swedish bitters worked wonders for her. But those are my 3 go-tos, 2 on a daily basis, 1 on an emergency situation as needed. Like say if I've gone to the Doubletree Hotel and bought a canister of their cookies with the chocolate, and I had maybe a couple of candy bars or something on a vacation, and some Red Bull maybe, and maybe some red sauces, then I would definitely probably pack a little bit of that to take with me, so I can just take a a nice sip and make sure I don't have any symptoms. But at 58, I must say it feels really, really good not to have to buy Prilosec, because I don't think people know the long-term effects of proton inhibitors. And also you might have seen some commercials on televisions with legal firms offering to represent you if you were trying to sue some of the makers of those products. So it would be better if you can try some natural things first. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, so feel free to share all of this that I've mentioned with your doctor, your gastroenterologist, or your general practitioner, and find out if this is safe for you, especially if you're already taking medications. See, I'm not taking any medications. Now that I'm in menopause, I don't take the pill anymore. And so, I'm just taking these things. And one other thing I heard, really do your investigation on this, because I heard that it helps with blood pressure. And right now, praise the Lord, I don't have any issues with, high blood pressure or anything like that. Hibiscus tea helps as well. And also, I do another supplement called garlic. And I'm just hoping to do whatever I can, because I'm not taking any medication and I don't want to. And so hopefully what I've shared helps you guys not to have to take as many medications over the counter or prescription. And let me know how it works out for you and what your doctor might have said about it. But until then, hopefully that helps, and I hope you guys have a great one. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.